Hey guys, good morning. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. It is time to get ready for church. Technically, I'm getting ready for a Lent midweek service today, but I needed to kind of get a little ahead on content. So that's the way it's going to work out, but we're still getting ready for church together. And I wanted to sit down and talk all about our women's retreat that I went on. Is my first experience on one. I thought we could just chat about that. I kind of shot my stash a little bit, pulled out some makeup to use today, and we're just going to get ready together and hang out. So let's go ahead and just get into it. Anyways, we're on a different camera today, so if it looks a little different, that's why this one zooms in so close. It's such a tight shot, and there's no way I can make it unzoom. It's just the way it's set up. So anyway, we're filming on this one today. This is my older setup because I'm charging stuff for church because I do run the video for that. And yeah, I use my own stuff. And so I have to make sure my things are charged before I get there. Anywho, so we're filming on something older today, but so let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start with my complexion. Now I've already done my skincare and the breakout is kind of clearing up. We've got such a serious breakout happening. I had quite the reaction to some niacinamide serum from The Ordinary, the 10%. I didn't realize it was that high a percentage. I honestly didn't even read the bottle. I thought it was a hyaluronic acid. And just going to town, applying it for like a week straight. And then my skin just started going nuts. I'm like, what's happening? It's not like a hormonal breakout. This is, whoa. And because it was isolated just to my face too. And yeah, because normally when I get a hormonal breakout, it's body. So for complexion today, I'm going to go back in with this NYX Professional Makeup Make 'em Wonder foundation. This is really good, by the way, because it has such good coverage and it covered all my acne really well and wore really nicely. This is a dupe of the Face Bond from Urban Decay. If you were interested in that one, same thing. But yeah, we're going to put this on and I'm going to try it out with a sponge today. But our topic for today is a women's retreat. I have never been on a women's retreat. This is my first one. I did get to help out a little bit with this one, like getting things sorted out, like kind of in the planning. I was like core team. I did the graphics for it and helped like source some hymns, just background tasks. No one in charge of any of the curriculum or any of that by any means, but just, helping. And it helped with a thing called a legacy walk with sourcing materials, like tactile things to touch and just graphics in general. It's mostly what I did. It's my first time ever doing anything like that. I go to my women's Bible study and I go to the LWML rallies and conventions, which is like our missionary league thing, church work stuff. I go to those and support that and work with that kind of stuff, and kind of trying to get more involved there. But this is my first time just on a retreat thing, and it was for a whole weekend. We left on Friday, came home on Sunday evening, and we stayed at a Jesuit college, school, that is now just functions as a retreat. And there's some priests and I think some nuns live there and stuff, and there's a convent there. So there's a convent in the back that you could stay at, and then there's the huge college in the front that was big. It was big, and I can't remember what year it was built. It was in the 1800s. I'll put that on screen. I'm gonna put some pictures of it also because it was so beautiful. It was breathtakingly beautiful. The grounds were amazing. They have a lot of different options of how you can do retreats there. You can just go on your own and just go stay completely, spend the weekend there if you want. By yourself, you can do a couples retreat. You can bring your own curriculum. I guess we can just use that word for things. Or you can do stuff with the priests there, and they can kind of guide you through it. I mean, so we're not Roman Catholic, so we brought our own stuff. Our deaconess, Eileen, she is amazing writer and theologian. So she wrote out all the curriculum, the event activities, everything herself, and our pastor signed off on it and all that jazz. But she's kind of an amazing person. She's currently just got into the doctorate program, and she's also an engineer on top of that. Like, come on. Why are you so smart? So she wrote all of this out. I don't know how she has the time to do any of the stuff that she does and accomplish. Full-time college student and full-time engineer who works for a major corporation. Like, big important job in Houston. Drives to the middle of nowhere here on the weekends and functions as our deaconess and then does above and beyond for us. Need to shout her praises because she's awesome. So our theme was the Lord's Prayer. So we went through every petition in the Lord's Prayer, and we spent huge modules on each part. So the whole weekend was basically Bible study, but it was fun. There was also, worship included, and it was just a massive weekend of Bible study and deep diving just into the theology and meaning of the Lord's Prayer, which was just so much fun and so rich, and just there's so much more than you can ever think on the surface about the Lord's Prayer. It is the perfect prayer. I mean, obviously it's how Jesus taught us to pray, so of course it's perfect. But it is that perfect thing when you just don't have the words. It is the go-to. We pray at every service, multiple times a day. At home, it's part of every liturgy. So it's a huge part of our lives, and it's it's in our catechism. It's one of the first things you learn. It's one of the cornerstones of our worship. So to spend the whole weekend just going through it was beautiful. And we got a booklet that was 100 pages to go through for the weekend, which included our services for the days and everything, but it also was just a plethora of information. And I'll put pictures on the screen and everything just so you can see and some examples. But man, it was so beautifully done. And we could write in it. We were given highlighters, tote bags to carry everything in, and treats, and we were so spoiled the whole time also, which made it really kind of fun. And it truly felt like just stepping out of reality for a minute, and we were getting a little glimpse of the new creation right there, of just this loving moment of just sisterhood. It was something so unique in that instance that we were there, and seeing how that jumping off point really of the Lord's Prayer evolved our conversations, and how personal and how deep everything ended up, to where it wasn't just dry theology, which is what I think a lot of people would anticipate. It's either going to be dry theology or just mushy stuff on a retreat. I think it can go either way. And particularly, I think a lot of times, personally, when I think of a women's retreat, I'm thinking kind of mushy, girly stuff. Not something that I would typically have been drawn to. But I don't know, I had a feeling it wasn't going to be what I expected, and that I would be so pleasantly surprised. And it was just that. It was such a surprising experience, because it wasn't what I expected by any means it to be. I knew going in we weren't going to be a contemporary worship, non-denominational type of retreat, because we were very, very painfully Lutheran women. So I kind of knew what I was getting into there, obviously, and that we all are very big into our education and our theology, and we like the scholastic side of things. We're a bit academic. We like the academic side of stuff, and the way that was able to balance out with the heart. The head and heart stuff was able to just come together and balance out so beautifully on this trip. It was amazing because I wasn't sure how all that was going to play out. Because like I said, I've never been on any kind of retreat, and for the people, gals I talked to that have been on retreats, they all agree that they've never quite experienced anything like this either. So it was a very unique moment. Taking a little bit of NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop concealer. Knowing my deaconess, obviously we're pretty close, and the girls, I knew it wasn't gonna be like a lot of flowery emotional stuff. It wasn't gonna be any like I can't think of the word that I need to describe this. There was not going to be any Gnosticism in there. It was not going to be any contemporary flowery language, really. That's not how we roll. Yet we were still able to connect the heart so well with avoiding all of that side of stuff and not using it, because I think it was more just truly like Holy Spirit coming through, and you felt him there the whole time. And just the absolute, the amount of like insights and like kind of light bulb moments and epiphanies that I felt like I personally had the whole time. I was just like, whoa, wow. That, I felt like it was just that the whole time. And how we would do these exercises that seemed so simple and didn't, on the surface, you wouldn't think it would prompt a whole lot of reflection or something, but it did. Like some of the smallest things that we would go in with one thought process and come out on the other side in a whole different point of view. So like one of them was writing a prayer, and it was praying for something that we wanted changed. And my prayer went from one thing to a total like flip-flop of like going into a place of just pure like gratitude and realization of oh and it felt outside of myself the whole weekend. There was moments where it really just did feel like it was spirit-led, and words and thoughts were coming to me that like I would normally think to talk about or say or go there, but it was just such a wonderful flow, and how deeply personal things got. It was so emotionally deep and safe that a lot of people, we were able to open up about just these incredibly personal stuff that none of us have spoken about before. Like this was like the first time subjects were broached, and in this setting, because it felt so at home and at peace and just this warmth and love there, we cried and cried the whole time. That last day was just pure tears of love. The happiness that I think that we felt, and the safety and warmth that we were feeling, like I've never felt that kind of bond, I guess, and sense of home before. It was different, and it was on a new scale for me. Like I feel that I get a little taste of that in Bible study a lot of times in a church, but this just felt like, oh, this is what the new creation is right here. This feeling of just basking in the glory of God and each other, loving each other. and every bit of judgment was just out the room. All of our worldly hang-ups were gone, like self-consciousness, and none of that mattered in those moments. It was just, we were in a communion. I think it's the best way to think of it. I mean, that was one of the topics, was that a lot of us had never experienced anything like this before, and how we felt God, and felt just that safety and love, and that truly that glimpse of the new creation. We were just sitting there with the sunlight beaming through on a Sunday morning, and we're all around a table together, and some of us are strangers. Like, yeah, there was the girls, you know, that I go to church with were there, but there was girls from other churches and from all over the country there. There was 25 of us, but they're from all over the country, and, you know, far and wide, vastly different backgrounds. I'm not even sure, like, everyone there was Lutheran, but here we were as members of the body of Christ in this moment together, and the outside and all the, like, worldly stuff that would kind of, I think, maybe hinder us a little bit and get in the way. All of that just fell away, and it was just kind of seeing what we were meant to be for a moment there, and just that gather around the table with a group of women, which I'd never really thought I would ever be involved in. I've been in like secular stuff before, groups and things. Like, I've lived a full secular life, okay, outside of the church, and I've never come away to feeling too warm and fuzzy from anything, particularly involved with groups of women. So it wasn't my cup of tea normally. Like, this was so outside of my norm to travel, for one thing, on my own. Like, yeah, this was something very outside of myself personally to do. But, you know, it was, I think, seeing that little glimpse of what we're meant to be to each other, of just this, that Christ-like love in that moment, that it was unleashed, and that was just freely flowing. And that side of us that tries to reason everything to death was not, old Adam was not there, or I'm going to call it old Eve in this instance, was not there. It was the new woman and the new man. When I say, of course, I'm using that kind of language of like the new man and stuff, it means humanity, it's not really gendered language. It's referring to humans in general. I think that's something a lot of people do get hung up on and can find off-putting, because they think, oh, it's so masculine language. But man refers to humans and old Adam is the language used, and meaning our old selves. And it was that part of us that we have to drown every single day, the old Adam. It was seeing that new woman in that moment, seeing what we were kind of meant to be without, like, it was getting a little glimpse of what things could be without our sinfulness, getting a glimpse of the new creation, of just the beauty of the moment, of just looking around and seeing beautiful things, but also seeing beautiful spirits and beautiful women around me, and just feeling love for all of them, and just like hugging each other, and it felt like some walls were torn down, and like for me, like I'd say the temple was torn down and being rebuilt as Christ is the cornerstone. That's what it was feeling like for me, and this was just more of that rebuilding of the new glorious heavenly Jerusalem in my head of life in Christ, and just seeing what good can be. And I've clung to that since we got back. Like, we're in March now, the retreat was in January. I'm still riding a high from that. Like, it was used very exaggerated language or hyperbole often, but this was one of those little events that I would say did change me and kind of change who I am a little bit. And all of that from studying the Lord's Prayer. Something we learned as children. You know, it was a wonderful experience. I would think that everybody that went had a moment of that too. Like, it seemed moving for all the girls. All right, let's move on to eyes. I'm going to use the Embers palette from ABH, and I'm going to take a little bit of this shade right here at the top and bring that through the socket. But it feels like everyone had a good experience that way. You know, we tried to be conscious of each other the whole time, and, you know, make sure everyone was to be engaged with one another. And I think that was accomplished. Like, I feel like everyone had a positive experience and felt similar things. And I was just reading about how, you know, throughout history of the church and movements have happened where was this divide around like the Enlightenment time in the 1700s era, where reason went this way and emotions went this way, and how they should be together, you know, and not I don't mean like, maybe not emotions is the right word, but more like abstract feelings and stuff. More like faith went this way, reason went this way, when they should be in harmony. There was a few writers at the time that did encapsulate that very well, and and that was also referred to as like the golden age of the Lutheran Orthodoxy, which is I like personally. Something that's always resonated with me within like the Lutheran tradition was that there's a place for the mysticism in there. There's a place for piety, not pietism, two different things, but there's a place for the devotion, the heart stuff, the more mystical side of things, and leaving things to mystery, not needing answers for everything. But then there's also is a place for our little bit more of a rational side of things as well, and having the pure, clean doctrine and, you know, things very outlined and laid out. And I've always loved that balance. That's one of the, I think, kind of the main things about our traditions is the balance of everything. There's what's called like the tension of Christian life, or the tension of the baptismal life, is which we're in now. Before I keep yapping, I'm going to take some of, let's do this one right here. And that tension is also like the tension between the law, as in like law of Moses, and the gospel, which is salvation through Christ. And the balance of having both of those things together and them being meant to be as one. And that kind of thought process get applied to everything, to like having your more heart side of things and your head side of things, of those being able to go together and work in tandem with each other rather than against each other. And I think just the, you know, saying just law and gospel is such a perfect encompassing of everything in that way, of that kind of push and pull of life. So that on our retreats, it was such a perfect balance of those things, where we were learning academic topics and then we're able to go into our hearts so deeply at the same time, which I think is what it should be. This when we're dealing with faith. It should be both. It's something I wish everyone could experience. And like, by the next weekend, we were joking with each other, like, I want to go back. Can we go back? To go into the retreat center, or to the place where we had the retreat. Like, I seriously would just go back for a weekend for like one of the couples retreats, where me and my husband, just to go. I don't know what the curriculum or the program would be. I know it would probably be Catholic, but I can discern out what doctrine is what, whatever, because we have a lot of shared doctrine as well. Obviously, there's a lot more Christianity in there. So I don't think that would be a problem. I think we could just say, hey, you know, tell them up front that we're not Catholic, that we're not Roman Catholic, it should be okay. And I know that they have couples from other traditions coming in, so I don't think that would be off the beaten path for them. So I kind of want to like look into that, just because it was a beautiful experience. The facilities alone were so amazing. The food was wonderful. It was so affordable. Also, like, compared to a lot of the other retreats that can range into like the 400s. Look, for us gals on budgets, this was wonderful. We paid around $130 for the entire weekend. That included food and snacks and unlimited coffee and snacks. They had treats everywhere and coffee everywhere and soda, whatever. It was all around, and it felt so safe there. There was a code to get into the building itself, and no one could get in or out without that code. And you have your own room. Well, I had my own room. Everything, like, you could leave your door unlocked. You felt safe. Everything was handicap accessible. Like, within the building, there was not really a need to differentiate the two. Like, everything just was. Like, all the bathrooms just were handicap accessible. And it was so wonderful to see that and be, you know, somebody who's disabled. That's really nice to see, because sometimes I do need mobility aids, and look, they are a kerfuffle to get in and out of like doors and stuff with sometimes. And seeing that this facility was just like, nah, it's ready to go, here you are, it was very comforting, and that it didn't have to be something that needed to be addressed and be like, hey, I got this issue. It was like a non-issue, because everything was already set for you. They were able to accommodate like any dietary restriction. Very cool. Okay, I'm gonna take some of this. Actually, I'm gonna go to an eyeliner. I got this eyeliner from Maybelline here. This is in like olive green or something. Emerald Lights. It's olive green color. I'm gonna take some of that on the lid here. And I'm gonna just blend that out a little bit. But I'm still just so in awe of how much I got out of the weekend. Because I thought, oh, it's just gonna be, you know, a fun weekend with my favorite people. I love spending time. I look forward to getting to spend time with these women. Like, I love when we have the third Saturday of the month, we have Fibers of Faith, where we go sit around and sew together. I love it, because we're sitting around a table at a cafe and we're just yapping. And it is such a wonderful time. And I look forward to that. I look forward to our ladies' lunches on Sundays, and I look forward to Bible study every Sunday. I love getting up extra early to do that and go. And, just because we can talk. And, yeah, I love the fellowship side of things, which going in initially when I started to attend church and was getting into the things, I did not think I would care for the fellowship side of stuff because I've always been a bit of a loner and wanted to just kind of be left alone. And then realizing, hey, that's not the way we were meant to be. That's not how we were made. It's not what God wanted for us. And being brought into this fold of the body of Christ so seamlessly, and it feels so new to me and so kind of outside of myself to be in with a group of women. It just feels so immediately at home, and like I can be who I am. There's no putting on any airs whatsoever. I can just be goofy. Yes, I can just be my goofy, simple little self and just feel at home and don't feel like judged by them or at all, which was another thing I didn't expect, because you always hear all these horrible stories. Like, I don't hear a lot of positivity about religion. There's so many negative things that you hear about people's experiences with and so I was just kind of anticipating that stuff. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna keep my head down. I'm gonna go just do service and stuff. I'm not gonna get involved. I immediately got involved. That was like right off the bat. I just dove headlong in, and I was never somebody to do that kind of stuff. I've never been that kind of person, and it was like I felt called, and it was like God was like, nope, you're gonna do this. This church needs you. You're going here. You're gonna do this because you need them. And it was just like, yes, sir. You're the boss, not me. But it was just very outside of my normal character to want to get so involved in something. I'm not a team player typically. I don't like group projects. I'm very much a leave me alone person. This is very, as one of the professors would say, very American about that, very individualistic. And that part of me has definitely just been like, nope, because that's not what we're supposed to be. And okay, that's not. And I gotta say that it has been such a welcomed change and such a light and pure joy that comes from that. From having fellowship and being a part of the church and being a part of the body of Christ. Right now I'm taking the olive green eyeshadow right here. I'm gonna pop a little bit of that on. And I think to probably non-Christians listening to this, if you are, I hope you are, because I'd like you to hear it. You probably think I sound crazy, and that's okay, because that's kind of how it always goes. Like St. Paul says, foolishness to the Gentiles is what the gospel will seem. And yeah, because there was a time where it seemed that way to me too. So I understand, I hear you, and I try not to forget that I was that person also, who would have called me crazy, who had told me I was in a cult, like just been hateful. I would have been that person not that long ago. I'm talking like maybe 2 years ago. I know that I'm very blessed to be surrounded by the women I am in just the church that I am, that I know that's not everyone's experience by any means. Like, I think we got something real special going on. Because I've heard plenty of stories. I've experienced stuff before. And I know that we've got something very special and unique going on in our little community. And I know how blessed we are to have each other, because I know there's lots of women and men that are Christians that don't have that fellowship and the community that should be there. Hard to explain to someone who's experienced the bad aspects of sinful humans and have been hurt to explain that it doesn't have to be that way, though. There are, that you can't give up. Don't give up, and don't let those experiences with other humans ruin Christ for you. Yeah, I'm in the mood for just some olive green, even though I know this is like not timely makeup wise, because we are, in spring right now. I wanted to do a olive green eyeshadow. Let's take some of this lightest shimmer in here. I'm gonna put a little bit on the center, on the inner corner. All that to say, the retreat was a beautiful experience, and I can't wait for next year. So we're gonna do the same place, and the theme is gonna be all of God's people will be broken, something to that effect. I haven't been given a work assignment on graphics or anything yet for it, so looking forward to that, which I'm pretty sure we're gonna be starting some preliminary planning soon and booking things and all of that. I am going on another retreat next month, and it's more of a retreat / mission thing, and how do I describe it? Kind of a little bit like business too, because it's with the LWML. Now I go to their rallies there twice a year, but this is their like yearly retreat that is regional, so it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a pretty big thing. I would think, I don't know, I've never been. But I'm very excited. I've got my room booked, and yeah, got my paperwork filled out. I'm just gonna mail it off. Okay, I'm gonna take some Wet n Wild blush now. This is one of their liquid blushes, Mega Glow lip and cheek color. This is in the shade Coral Dreams. I think this would be so pretty for today. Having such a positive experience last time, I was like, ooh, we got another one to go to. I'm going to go to it too. And I'll get to see some of the same ladies, which is nice. And I'm going with my church girls too, So it's a nice kind of just more fellowship and bonding stuff. But it'll be a different type of setting. So I just kind of want to see how it goes, what it's like. And there's going to be one in Chicago in the summer that I can't make that one, obviously. It's too soon to go, because I'm like, oh, I don't have enough time to plan out for that and save up plane tickets and this and that. But perhaps next year I would like to go to it. It is one that is for lay people, from issues, etc. It's their kind of Lutheran convention thing, and this year's gonna be in Concordia, Chicago. But a lot of the pastors I really love will be speaking there, so it makes me want to go. And I'm like, oh dang! But I've gotten to listen to some of the speeches from previous years, which has been really nice. We've been resharing those on the Issues channel. That is a pretty blush color. These Wet n Wild liquid blushes, by the way, are so good. You can't beat the value of them, and they have really nice shades. So, okay, there's that. I'm gonna jump over to Hourglass, because I was revisiting this because I was talking about the CoverGirl new baked products and how much they remind me of these. So we're gonna dib dab into good old Hourglass today, into the Luminous Bronze Light for our bronzer. Because yes, I know I need some bronzer. But one thing I do want to just kind of say is that if you have the opportunity to ever go on just any church retreat, women's retreat, just do it. Just do it. Just go. They're not all going to be the same. You're not always going to probably have that kind of experience. But I think there's always going to be something of value if you go. And you never know. It could be something life-changing there. And yeah, just go. Just do it. Live your life. I'm taking just a tiny bit of mood exposure. Even though I don't think I need any more blush. I'm just putting a little bit. Because I want to. A little too blushy now. Uh-oh. I'm going to take my powder brush. I'm going to go into dim light, I think. It's either dim or diffuse light. Girl, I never know which is which. We can kind of just use that as a finishing powder. But I never can remember which one is which. It's either the light yellow or the more skin tony color. It is dim light is what I'm going in with now. Which I'm using that to just kind of take down a little bit of that blush and kind of blend everything together a little bit. That works. Then on the under eye, I'm going to take a little bit of diffuse light. Just right under there. Brighten things up a little. Make sure things are blending. I'm going to touch up my brows and throw on some mascara. These brows, I'm going to put some of the Milani Brow Gel through. I have done a little bit of NYX powder pencil. I think last time I talked to you in one of these videos, I talked about listening to Cost of Discipleship, which I have finished up from Bonhoeffer, and I am now on Life Together. It's so moving. Like, the whole time I'm listening to it, I'm just like, if Cost of Discipleship's good, there's something about this one that's hitting different. And I'm like, I didn't think anything could be more moving, but here we are. I need physical copies so I can sit here and highlight things and make notes. I'm just like, whoa, the whole time. Mascara, I'm gonna do Extensionist from L'Oreal. But you know, I've never been a heart person until now. And I realized, you know, I prayed for God to soften my heart and give me patience and help me just be a more loving person. Talk about answering those prayers. Goodness gracious, did he ever. And he works through so many different ways, not just through, you know, the church, but before I even had gotten in the door there, we're just, while I was still floating through space on my own, he sent me people that he was working through that helped me reconnect with that part of me that was in there, I guess, that's always been there. It helped me learn, you know, taught me about love and to quit being, it kind of helped to kill that coldness in me. Yeah, the shattered the heart of stone. So I was a very, I would say kind of a cynical, nihilistic, at best a deist person. Very enlightenment, a product of the Enlightenment and reason, and just kind of, I don't know, there was definitely a coldness in me that just completely melted. And it didn't happen overnight. It was over the course, I would say, about a few years. And one of my prayers that when I first really started praying was, please soften my heart, take this anger from me, because that was always something I kind of struggled with, was anger, resentment, lack of forgiveness, and just letting things go. And that was one of the first things I prayed for, was please help me with that and help me love better. love people better. And well, did he do that? He is just completely softening me. Well, I still have those tendencies of old Adam, of wanting to be angry, wanting to be fussy, I guess. It's a lot easier to not be those things, but he's also, I think, kind of emboldened me a little bit in a lot of convictions as well, in more of a positive way of just being clear about right and wrong, and his word being the ultimate truth at the end of the day, and unquestioning there. And it's changed how I look at a lot of things and how I perceive the world. And people do mention that I've changed, and sometimes I can't tell, like, occasionally there's been like some awkward conversations with older friends that, like, I haven't seen in a minute, then I see them again, and they think, well, I'm not going hanging out with him because I don't want to anymore. It's like, no, dude, I don't want to go sit in a bar all day. Like, I haven't liked doing that in a very long time because I don't drink and I quit smoking. It's not fun to just sit in a bar, okay? So it was kind of just sad to me to do that now. So, I just was like, I need to do other things. I have work to do. I don't want to just sit here, right? It wasn't like a personal thing. Like, you guys can like invite me over to dinner and stuff still, and like we can still do that kind of hanging out like we always did. It's like, you guys, we like, I don't know. And so there's been like, a couple of awkward conversations here and there. One was like just a couple of random comments on YouTube, which don't really mean that much to me. But for the most part, especially when they're from strangers, like, okay. But like an older friend, someone I've known for like 20 years now, who's like, it's not somebody like we see each other on a daily basis anyway. The only reason we were like seeing each other so very much was during COVID, because we were all like kind of almost quarantined together, because I was working just down the road from her house and she would come over there, and we kind of really close in that moment. But for some reason we'd all just kind of float apart, and I don't live in the same neighborhood as they do, so I'm not up their butts. And anyway, she started just kind of going on about like, so you're really into the church now? Like, I'm Lutheran. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. She's just, well, I believe in Jesus. I'm like, good, okay. Like, I don't know why. It was just very weird, and it was like, I'm not a monk, right? I'm not a nun, okay? I'm still me. And I guess she was perceiving some change in me or something. I'm like, well, I haven't wanted to drink in years. And occasionally, I would drink here and there, and it was not a good decision. It was something I regretted, because alcohol is not my friend. Look, me and alcohol have a very complicated, ugly relationship. And being around it is temptation that I don't need. And it was not good for me, because I step back, and I don't want to sit in a bar all day. I just don't. I've got better things to do with my time than sit there and stare at a wall in a bar. I don't drink, I don't smoke anymore. It's not fun. And I don't want to sit around and watch other people get drunk every day. I've got work to do and things to do outside of that it's almost wasting time, because there's not really that much fellowship there. I'm just sitting there half the time. I don't know. It was feeling very empty. And I don't know if that's part of it, is that I don't want to go hang out at the bar anymore. And because when they would ask, I was like, no, I'm okay. Y'all go ahead. And so I guess this was like kind of me moving away from that lifestyle. It's not like I'm dislike them or something, or disapprove of their decisions. It's a decision that I made a long time ago about the drinking thing. And I had been sober for quite some time and started kind of fell off the wagon a little bit. And it was not a great thing that I did that. And occasionally that little part of old Adam wants to rear its ugly head, and something I have to fight down. And I just need to be kind of blunt about that. It's like, yeah, I don't like alcohol. I don't do well around alcohol. I don't care if you drink, but I don't want to. But I just kind of need to be more clear about I don't want to drink. But anyway, I don't know if they're perceiving the fact that I don't want to drink and sit and watch a football game. I've never liked football. I was going to hang out with you guys. I wasn't going to drink. I wasn't going to watch a stupid football game or whatever it was. I was going to spend time with y'all. So, yeah, it just... something did change there in me. And it's not that I feel differently about my old friends. I'm still part of their lives, and they're still a part of mine. It's just the relationships may have changed to where they don't revolve around going to bars and drinking, which is just, I'm just tired of it. And that really wasn't a religious choice there. That wasn't something to do with that. That happened well before, but somehow it has coincided in their brains that this is something that is together, that I guess I'm a prude now. Like, bruh. I had that awkward conversation because I went over for a friend had a party. But anyway, since like the New Year, things have just been really busy. But I went over to my friend's house, who I see her a lot. She's like one of my closest friends. And like I go with her to every one of her doctor's appointments, just about. Like, we are like that. And we talk nearly every day via text. And see each other on a regular basis, go to dinner together and stuff. Like, we're really close. But it was more just, I just haven't had I don't know. It hasn't lined up for me to go to like the dinners with everybody and stuff. And anyway, we were all sitting around outside like we normally do, talking and stuff. And it was just like this weird, almost like a confrontational thing of like, I'm Christian, right? I'm like, girl, I didn't... What? Where's this coming from? It's like, I don't care. Girl, I don't care what you're doing. And like, my feelings for you have never changed. I'm not suddenly judging you. Like, yeah, most of our friend group is some different denomination of Christian. Like, our other best friend over here is Catholic. And I get that this is a dramatic shift for me as a person, for people who have known me for most of my life, because I was at best a deist, at worst a Satanist. And what's funny is they had no trouble with that. They had no issue. Took no issue with me wearing inverted pentagrams and, blasphemy and everything, horrible stuff that I used to do and say. And there was no issue there. They just thought it was like funny and haha, that was cool. But now it's like, you gonna side eye a little bit? Okay. And suddenly think it was almost like a concern of like, so you go to church now, so you must be judging me. No. Most everybody here goes to church too. Are they judging you? No. It's no different here, okay? Like, it has nothing to do with me not wanting to get drunk. It has nothing to do with that. I haven't wanted to do that in a very long time. That predates the church going. So it was a little frustrating, but just weird. I was just very caught off guard. I was like, I don't even know how to answer that. And she's like, well, I believe in Jesus, okay? I just don't like the church. I'm like, I just don't like going to... I'm like, okay, what do you want me to do? Like, what am I supposed to say to that, okay? Like, I don't even know how you're supposed to respond to that. Because it was just very abrupt. And, like, she just come plop down the chair next to me. It was like... It felt like a confrontation. And just felt very awkward. And I'm like... I don't know why you're telling me this. So, why do you think that I'm suddenly gonna be this different to you. But she acted like it was like this new overnight thing that like just happened that month. To the point where she was like asking other people about like, I guess she saw that I shared a Bible verse. That confused her. It was just like this level of concern was really weird because it was like, I guess she hadn't noticed it happening and then just saw on like social media where I shared Bible verses and it just felt very abrupt to her. To the point where she like asked other friends like about it. She's like, I would asked so-and-so like, what's going on there? But it was just such an awkward conversation of this like weird defensiveness that was coming across, and this, well, are you okay? Almost feeling of like, and like, what? It felt weird. And like, I feel like she was feeling like she had to justify herself to me about it, about like her beliefs, and like, well, you know, I'm this, so like, well, okay, like, I don't think you're a heathen. I don't think you're a pagan. Like, I know you have a wall of crosses in your house. I know you're a Christian. Like, so I don't get it. But she acted like it was weird that I don't know, it felt weird, the conversation, and just felt very confrontational in a way. And like, I wasn't offended by it or anything, but it was just kind of caught off guard. Like, but it was getting borderlining on that you've changed thing that I think every Christian hears when they've converted from maybe a more secular lifestyle or more pagan lifestyle that I had. And it was that, you know, the people from who were you're familiar more with your old self, that it was admittedly not someone who I'm proud of anyway, being like, well, you've changed. And I'm like, well, I hope I have. I hope I have changed. My God, I hope I have changed. Because I don't want to be that person I was before. That was old Adam, and I hope that I drown that person every single day. Like, that's not who I am anymore, and I don't want to be that person, and I fight every single day to not be that person. And purely by the grace of God, that part of me is buried, and the new me rose in baptism. So, like, I hope and pray that I'm not ever that person again. So yes, I've changed, and I'm glad I have. But at the same time, it's not like I'm a completely different human. I still love metal, and I like my screamy Jesus music instead of Cradle of Filth or something now. Like, yeah, I think I'm more myself than I've ever been. And I don't know, it seemed like they were like, well, you must not want to hang out with us anymore or something because we drink. Like, yeah, I'm a Lutheran, okay? Beer is practically a sacrament. Like, come on. Alcohol doesn't have anything to do with it. And that, like, the religious part has nothing to do with that. It's more, I just don't like, me as a person don't like being around a lot of drinking anymore, just because it's not good for me. It's not good for my mental health and soul. I have a complicated relationship with alcohol that I would prefer to it's easier for me just to not be around it than live that old lifestyle. That hasn't been who I was for way longer than being Christian. Okay, like, that was a change that happened well before. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm not that person that I was, because she was hellbound and was dead in her trespasses. And I hope I never am that person again. pray that I never am. And if that means like things have to change, then things have to change. So yeah, I'm glad I have changed. I feel like instead of being a confrontational thing, maybe it should have been more of a, oh yay, I'm happy for you thing. Because then this person is also telling me how she believes in Jesus and is Christian too. So like, hello. It was weird. It was very just weird and awkward. All right, now I'm going to do lips because I'm going to keep on yapping here. This is from Revolution Beauty, and this is called Divine Brown. This is one of their matte lipsticks. I just lined my lips, by the way, with Milani lip liner. And I thought this color would go really well with the eyes. These are definitely meant to be like a Charlotte Tilbury dupe. I'm going to top this with some NYX Butter Gloss in Brownie Drip. All I'd say is that I thank God every day that I've changed. That I'm not that person I was. Every single day. And for this, like, new life He has given me. Because I've never been so happy, for one thing, and felt so much contentment. It is like being a new person, because while I am still me, I think I'm more the me that maybe Christ wants me to be. And hopefully whatever, if there was ever any good in me, He amplifies that and just like works through me. And that I may decrease so He may increase. And thank Him every day that I'm not who I was 2 years ago or 5 years ago. While I know all of that is part of His ultimate plan, that I was that way and those things happened because it brought me to this point. I also don't want to go back to those things. Like if I hadn't been that person then, I wouldn't be who I am now. But I don't want to go back to being that person, and I don't want to regress into that. I would much rather be who I am now than anything that I used to be ever again. I feel like I need to get my thoughts better on that one because that was just kind of a tangent that came out of nowhere. But it was just a very weird circumstance that I kind of wanted to talk about. And I was wondering if any of you guys have maybe converted later in life or something and had an experience like that of the you've changed thing, or looked at kind of funny because you're Christian and you're not posting about your mood board, or because you're posting about prayers rather than a manifestation board or some weird Gnostic paganism nonsense. You know, it's so crazy how like my healing stones and tarot cards are so socially accepted, right? But when you talk about prayer, it's like you get side-eyed. I'm just saying. It just seems odd how like a Gnostic lifestyle or a satanic or pagan, whatever lifestyle, can be more normalized and accepted than when somebody does turn to Christ. It was a very odd kind of moment. I was just like, huh. And it's just something I've been pondering for a while now, because this was like a couple months ago, but I still just been pondering it and want to get your take on things with that. And I know I've changed, and I know that like some of my close friends notice changes in me about how I speak about stuff, and not everyone around me is going to see, you know, becoming Christian as a positive change. I understand that, because there are my more Gnostic leaning friends or more pagan leaning friends or whatever that maybe have some hang up here or there with Christianity. Might feel differently, or even some of my Christian friends of different denominations have expressed issues with the denomination that I am, which is a whole nother issue of, we're all the body of Christ, okay? Why do you You just mad because I didn't join your church. Okay. So that's a whole nother discussion we could have there. If you have any thoughts on that kind of stuff, let me know down below, because I have a lot forming in my head there, and I'm just kind of rambling now. It is a big change, though. My life has changed, and how I relate to the world has changed. And Christ did tell us that it would be that way, like, that it would change your relationships with people and dynamics. And sometimes there are parts of old Adam that are gonna be related to your social life and all of that, and perhaps you do have to let all that fall away too, or change your relationship to it at least, which I think for the most part is what I've tried to do, is not like just cut out friends and stuff, but just change the relationship, because I've evolved, they've evolved. I would hope that they evolve as well, because it almost feels like at times that they were trapped or are trapped in like a Groundhog Day, where it's just the same cycle and nothing changes. There's no growth anywhere. And I don't know, when one of us like gets out of that cycle, it's like, what? Anyway, yeah, it's an odd thing. And it wasn't something I really expected anybody to even notice about me or comment on, too. And I think that's why I caught off guard, because I didn't realize that there has been much of an outward change as far as my relation to other people. I thought I was the same as I've always been. It's not like I'm sitting there preaching the gospel to them left and right. I'm still just who I am. Like, I don't do this with them. And so I didn't think there was that big of an outward change. But I suppose there is. And good. Good. There should be a change. So anyway, there's that. I don't really know what to do with, though. So can I ask you guys thoughts on that? But anyway, I'm done with my makeup, and I just want to say, you guys, if you have the opportunity to ever go on a retreat, take that opportunity, because it's a beautiful experience. Even if it's with a bunch of strangers that you've never met, honestly, I think that could be even better, because there's something very freeing about that to me. And let God guide you. Trust His guidance and the Holy Spirit to take you where you need to be. That, just let go. I have so many topics that I want to cover for these videos that I can't, and I keep trying to squeeze them all into one thing. I need to be a little more organized. Can I have a little bit, maybe actually write out outlines? Maybe I could talk to my deaconess about that, because that's something she's good at, is staying on track. Because I am not. I'm very stream of conscious type of gal. But that's the way also God made me, so why not? Let's just go with it too. But I want to kind of give you guys a little review of what it was like to go on my first women's retreat, and what honestly a life-changing experience it was. And I don't say that lightly. I really don't. And maybe, yeah, I have changed. And I didn't realize to the extent that I have. And thank God I have. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on all that down below. I will see you guys in the next one. May the peace of the Lord be with you always. And happy Easter. He is risen.